Destiny 2's endgame has gotten progressively better since the release of Forsaken, the September 2018 expansion. Previously, activities were lacking, progression was a chore, and the only things to chase were either locked behind RNG or tedious quests. With Forsaken, a whole new world opened up, adding a new cinematic storyline, a new competitive PvP and PvE hybrid mode, two new spaces to explore, a heap of secrets to uncover, lore to chase, new weapons, armor, the best raid in Destiny history according to the hardcore fans, and countless improvements to quality of life. However, one endgame activity shines above the rest for me. Available only every 3 weeks, when the Dreaming City's curse is at its most potent, a grueling challenge awaits. Enter the Shattered Throne, a lengthy dungeon you can tackle with 2 of your friends. Or solo. Considering I have over 700 hours in the game and still find this dungeon nerve-wracking, that should tell you something. But let me back up. What makes this dungeon so special? Is it exclusive loot? A quest tied to it? The lore implications? Nah. It's just fun to do. Call me crazy, but I find joy in running the Shattered Throne just because. It has a great flow to it, it has mechanics that are easy to understand, and it has a balanced amount of platforming, combat encounters, and hidden secrets. When you think about it, it's a great primer for raids. It's a shame the dungeon is not available to do all the time. Let's do a little walkthrough, break it down into 3 sections. On the 3rd week of the Dreaming City curse, when the Taken are romping around, causing chaos, as they do, a large portal opens up in the Confluence, under the Oracle Engine.
Safe journey, cousin. We will await your return.
Going through this portal starts the mission. You're greeted with a view of temples strewn across a dark expanse, and Taken enemies spawn in front of you. Killing all of these enemies shows a symbol. Each temple in the area corresponds with a different symbol, and you essentially need to travel to the temples and wipe out the enemies in the order that the game gives you. Simple enough, right? Learning how to navigate this section is part of the fun, and learning the symbols will help you when you start doing Last Wish, or so I've seen. Continuing onward, you drop down into the next section, which is where I normally equip a bow. You'll be dealing with vandals, knights, and ogres as you traverse a long hallway in a perilous series of beams. I highly recommend taking out the ogres that spawn here before putting yourself in a precarious situation. After this, you'll walk into a room full of shadow thralls chasing you while you are slowed and have no health regeneration. If you have Crimson, or you're a warlock with Devour, it really helps here. After going through that, you'll fight your way to the first boss encounter of the dungeon. Vorgath will be your first big difficulty spike. He's a fun fight overall, but it's really stressful if you're solo or you don't have a coordinated team. This big-ass ogre is immune at first. There are 4 wizards that spawn around the arena, along with adds. Killing a wizard and picking up their buff will set a timer. You have 45 seconds to kill the next wizard and pick up their buff, otherwise you die. Collecting all 4 buffs and extinguishing one of the 4 lights around Vorgath will take down his shield, allowing you to damage him for a short time. Repeat until he is dead, and you've bagged yourself a very satisfying kill. Knock knock, open up the door, it's a statue of the first Queen's Wrath. You'll notice she has 3 empty bowls beneath her. We'll get to that later. Continuing onward, your objective is to go upwards. You'll face phalanxes, captains, and hobgoblins to name your most deadly threats, and the wall cannons that push you off the edge of platforms. This section is mostly platforming and fighting through enemies. Then you reach the final boss, Dulin Karu, the Eternal Return, daughter of Savathun. She is guarded by 3 knights who will menacingly walk toward you, swords drawn, once you trigger them. Much like Vorgeth, you cannot damage Dulin Karu until you kill the knights and take their finite thought buff. There will also be scions that spawn on either side of the cramped arena, and the knights will be shielded when the boss summons a crystal. The stakes are understandably higher. Killing Dulin Karu ends the dungeon, gives you loot, and canonically resets the Dreaming City's curse back to the beginning, when Riven wished it to be cursed in the Last Wish raid. Completing Shattered Throne the first time does not give you any exclusive loot, apart from an emblem that tracks your completions. It has triumphs, sure, but there's no tangible benefit. So why do Shattered Throne? Well, there's one more element here. After completing Shattered Throne once, a new quest will appear in the Tangled Shore. This quest has you kill 3 taken bosses, obtaining 3 uncharged tokens after the deed is done. Going back into the Shattered Throne presents you with new, hidden objectives. In each section of the dungeon, there are relics you need to pick up and dunk into the hands of some statues, which spawn bosses. Killing these bosses charges the tokens. After beating Vorgeth, presenting the tokens to the statue will grant you the exotic bow, the Wish Ender. Its unique perk being that you can see enemies through walls at full draw. But why else would one do Shattered Throne? You can get powerful drops on your first run on each character. There are triumphs for completing the dungeon flawlessly, solo, and solo flawlessly, as well as a Vorgeth-specific triumph. There are also Ahamkara bones and corrupted eggs hidden in the dungeon, as well as a ship that has a higher chance of dropping here for the completionists that need the Cursebreaker title. Apart from that, it's a fun, meaty challenge you can attempt as many times as you want for the duration it's available. I understand why they made the dungeon available only on set weeks, but I do wish it was available at any time. I also wish there was a tangible incentive, like an armor set or something of that variety. Overall, Shattered Throne is one of the most enjoyable endgame experiences I've played in a looter shooter. As of writing, I have done the Leviathan raid twice, and I have not gotten the chance to LFG for the other raids quite yet, but it's nice to know I can do a similar sort of activity at my own pace, learning and mastering it at my leisure with different loadouts and such. I can only imagine the amount of time and effort it must have taken to plan, design, test, and implement a dungeon like Shattered Throne alongside making a full raid and a world space with the level of detail that the Dreaming City has. I can't imagine Bungie's list of priorities includes making a similar experience to Shattered Throne in the near future, but I genuinely appreciate it because it hits that niche that I've always wanted. I've seen some people express that loot is the driving factor for coming back to a game. If there's no cool stuff to obtain after a certain point, why bother? That was the case with vanilla Destiny 2, where once you completed the story and the raid, there was little left to chase. However, I think that the quality of content and the quality of the loot pool for that content go hand in hand. In a looter shooter, there should always be something exciting to do and something new to chase. At least that's the ideal. Every game has their dry spells while the developers are hard at work, planning and playtesting upcoming content. The point is that I think Shattered Throne is a very high quality piece of content. I like to think of it as a bonus to the already densely packed Dreaming City. And hey, you can get a neat bow out of it, if nothing else. I love Destiny 2, and I hope to play it for many more hours. I just wanted to highlight one of the most enjoyable parts of this game and solidify my thoughts on it, and I hope you'll give it a shot for yourself. And who knows, maybe I'll make videos on other Destiny 2 content. We'll see. Thanks for watching.